Hi, welcome. I'm Jennifer.
I'm Chanmi.
I'm Michelle.
Today we're going to be talking about the ratio of student to teacher talk. And before we get started, let's listen to this clip of one of my favorite movies, Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
In 1930, the Republican-controlled House of Representatives, in an effort to alleviate the effects of the, anyone? The Great Depression, passed the, anyone?
So funny. It's not funny, but it's funny.
Right. Yeah. Actually, a little movie trivia. The director, John Hughes, told the actor Ben Stein, who plays the teacher, to talk about anything that he knew a lot about. So the students' sort of dazed looks are really genuine. It's funny in the movie, but it's actually pretty brutal in real life, as we know.
Yep, and even when we go to those professional developments, or I remember being a kid when the person just stands up there and talks at you, even if they stop and ask questions. It's painful.
Yeah, you know it's not a conversation. It's just a one-way,
It's painful.
Yeah.
Yeah, one-way conversation, exactly.
The Charlie Brown, wah, wah, wah.
Yeah, at some point people tune out. And it happens at every level, elementary school, high school, college. So that brings us to our segment today. Can I go to the bathroom?
One of our favorite questions.
So
the kids ask that because they want to avoid whatever's happening. They're kind of bored, maybe. Or
A lot of times.
They feel stressed out about whatever's happening. Yeah.
Right. But in this case, sometimes it's just too much teacher talk and it's just boring. And
yeah.
When the teacher's talking, then we know the students aren't talking, which is the problem.
Right.
When the teacher's talking, that means the kids are not talking, or they shouldn't be.
Right. I don't know what the stats are, but it's something like, teachers ask a few hundred questions a day, and, the average student asks about 2, and those are usually just for clarification.
Yeah, it's not good. That's not a good balance.
Yeah, not at all.
Mm-hmm.
But what we do know with research is that being a spectator in the classroom is not going to develop thinkers. So we need to have those kids engaged in conversation as well.
Right. Even if you just think of it like going to watch a baseball game does not teach you how to play baseball. You have to play baseball, whatever it is. Watching a concert doesn't teach you how to play an instrument.
That's
you
right.
have to do it. You have to actually do it. Yeah. So we've all experienced this. We've all been through it.
All the time.
We know it. We know it's not fun. So what do we do about it?
Yeah.
How do we not talk so much as teachers and get students to talk more?
Well, before we think about that, we know that the ideal ratio of talking is supposed to be 90% student and 10% teacher. So keeping that in mind, where a classroom that has like learning happening is the ones that are like filled with that buzz of student talk.
Wait, let me get that clear. Hold on one second. So you said 90% student and 10% teacher.
That's right. 90 to 10.
Mm-hmm.
Student, not
90% student talk and 10% teacher talk. Not even 50-50.
Right. And I don't think that happens right away. I mean, I think that a lot of teachers have to start with, it might even be the other way around, and you have to, obviously that's the ideal ratio. That's what we want to work towards. But, let's get to the 50-50 point and then move from there at least. It takes planning, obviously. Getting kids to talk, you have to build those opportunities into your day to let it happen. And it will if you plan it.
That seems to be the key for everything. Thoughtful, deliberate planning.
Right.
So if you want the kids to talk, however much, ideally 90%, but even if it's 70 or 80%, you need to allot for that and set it up.
But if you're, let's say you're a new teacher, what does it mean to plan for teacher talk, like, and student talk, like, to make sure that there's enough student talk? Like, what should be in my plan?
So should I just like stand up and give the directions and then say, okay, kids, go? Should I do that? Yeah.
Obviously, we don't give them. A lot of it is time, and that's, teachers, everybody, we're all on a schedule, there's pacing, and the clock is ticking. And so there's time, but we have to be patient and give them time to collaborate and be able to respond, to whatever the task is, and however long it takes them. And that's hard. That's really hard to do at first.
It is really hard to allow the kids time to figure out what they need to figure out. But when they do, the rewards are invaluable. They'll remember all of it, the process, the strategies of how they got there, and the content. They'll remember it. But sometimes when we say time, it could take weeks sometimes for some students to figure things out. Yeah, I've been through that. Mm-hmm.
And it takes practice, the kids get better at it as time goes on. The more opportunities you give them, the better they're going to get at it.
Yes, this is also true too.
Yeah, and including in your planning, the reflective piece, having them reflect on their own discussions and how did that go, and how can we make it better next time?
Right.
Yes.
Using those like high quality questions that they're open-ended, and if so the teacher is guiding the discussion, then we're using those open-ended questions. But teaching students how to generate their own questions as well. It's really important, as well as just even knowing how to have those structured conversations
right. So that would come first, to teach the students how to have these conversations. That's first, and explicit by itself, which is a whole nother topic. But once the students know how to do that, then they're good to go on this teacher-student ratio for talk. And they're leading it. They're leading the conversation. And being responsible for their own learning. Yeah, I love it. And all these memories are flooding back at the beginning when I first started practicing this myself, where I just handed the learning over to the students. And like I said, I remember a couple times it did take weeks for some students to get there, but they did. They got there.
Right. I think there's a new term for over-explaining. Like they have that term mansplaining, where the gentlemen over-explain things that are like super obvious. And so there must be like a term kind of like that in teaching sometimes, where it's like teach-splaining or something. You know what I mean?
Right.
Where we really feel like we have to explain every step of the way in order for the kids to get it right. So we can copyright that, teach-splaining or something.
Yes. I'm not gonna admit to ever being accused of that in real life. No. Outside the classroom. I'm not going to admit to that.
I think we're natural teachers if you're a teacher.
Yeah. So, when you made that comment about the students, they get better at it. And I remembered this one particular class where I was teaching science that year, and they were learning how to write a procedure, and I wanted them to figure it out themselves. And it took a long time for the students to figure it out the first time we did it. But then after that, it was quick, and we moved so fast after that, because they really, really, the depth of their knowledge, not only in the content, but also the strategies, it was there. That foundation had been built. Right. But it was hard.
It was better.
It was, the next unit was better. It was really hard at first.
Right. But that productive struggle that you created for them, and then as they had the discourse about it and they were going through it like themselves, then that whole process of learning through your difficulties and challenges, that's growth mindset right there. So,
yes. Yeah. Which again is another podcast
for another day.
Another day.
Yes.
But we documented everything as well with our productive struggle, so we could go back and look at it. We made posters, we hung it up. also for another day. But I mean, that whole thing was, it was just so good. And I love it. And those kids are probably out of high school now.
So,
yes.
What do you think the lesson here today is?
The more students talk, the more that they learn. And I've experienced that firsthand anecdotally, and the research shows it to be true as well. So for sure, I agree. The more kids talk, the more they learn. Right. To each other. They speak to each other.
So what's our strategy that gets the W for the day? Our
winning strategy, our little goodie. The thing that we're going to share today is turn and talk. And it's a standard, but it works for everybody from preschool to adults. And that's one of the reasons we love it. We also love it because it gives students the opportunity to practice listening and speaking and nonverbal gestures like making eye contact and then communicating with each other and solving problems. And it encourages students to respect each other's ideas, or just, it's not your turn to talk right now. And then on top of that, if you go into Bloom's and Webb's, it gets into a deeper level of thinking because it requires more than one answer, or it allows for more than one answer, requires multi-steps. It's just all good. You never know what ideas you're going to get.
And I really like how it builds equity in the classroom so that students, all students' voices and ideas are, like you said, respected, but also heard. And so that's just one thing that you want to remember to build that culture of collaboration is based on equity too.
Right. Yeah. For teachers, I think it's really important with the turn and talk. It's a great formative assessment tool as well for us to just walk around and observe and listen to the language that they're using. And
it is a good formative assessment tool.
So much information.
Yes. Which this little piece led to so many other ideas.
It is. We have some other podcasts to talk.
Yeah, when you just said that about being heard, I was like, well, the students also need to be taught how to listen. What does that mean? It's an active thing, but another day.
Yes.
Right.
All right.
Well, thank you for listening. Okay. Bye.